And now you can see the Backseat Mogul Show in all its video glory on our YouTube page at roughedge.tv. It's tiki time at Harbor Cove Cafe. Dive into the tropical paradise at the end of Spinnaker Drive in Ventura with vibrant drinks, delicious bites, award-winning fish and chips, and more. Now featuring extended hours and happy hour. Fridays from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday and Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Harbor Cove Cafe, the hidden treasure at the end of Spinnaker Drive. Visit harborcovecafe.net for more information.
Showbiz is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason. There's also a bad side.
This is the Backseat Mogul Show. I am R. Scott Bolton. I am the Backseat Mogul, and this is the show where we talk about showbiz. I'm flying solo today because Johnny D is out sick. So Johnny, feel better. He just got one of those 24, 72, 36-hour, 155-hour flus, and I told him, don't come into the studio, this tiny little studio, and make us all sick. So feel better, Johnny D, and we'll see you next week. I've been on vacation for a couple of weeks, so I decided to come in and do the show by myself today. And the reason is I wanted to talk to you about a couple of really cool recent releases on physical media. And the first one is entitled Monster from the Ocean Floor. Now, Monster from the Ocean Floor is a 1954 movie, I believe, and it's produced by Roger Corman. And those who know anything about monster movies and horror movies in general know that Roger Corman has a history, and he often was very glad to tell you this, that he was one of the few producers who never lost money on any of his movies. That's because his movies were always very cheap. They're always very high concept and very directed at a certain audience that would go to the movies and see the movie. Film masters, who are great friends of ours and are doing a terrific job of releasing and restoring these classic movies, has released this version, Monster from the Ocean Floor, the newly restored Blu-ray. As you can see there, it comes along with a little pamphlet that has a lot of good information in it, and it is an absolutely gorgeous restoration from beginning to end. As interesting as everything is with that movie, it's a fun little movie, it's a silly little movie, but if you watch it for historical purposes, it's even better today than it was back then. Back then, it was just a cheesy horror movie with a quick view of this I try not to tell you what the monster looks like, because when you first see him, he's kind of a ghostly, ethereal figure. Later on, it turns out to be more of a biological, like a shark kind of a threat, with some twists, of course. But it's interesting to watch this movie because I love to watch movies that are of this age. I mean, this is 70 years old. This movie is 70 years old. And I like to imagine the cast and the crew and on the beach in this particular case. Where were the cameras? Where were the microphones? What lighting did they use in addition to the sun that was out there already? I just like to imagine how these films were made compared to today, to how today's films are made with their green screens and all that, what have you. This was real filmmaking. These guys were out on the beach with a movie camera shooting footage. Now, it's not just the beach scenes that are very interesting for that purpose here, but there's a lot of underwater scenes that are very interesting for that fact, even more so perhaps because how did they do underwater photography back then? Did they have this big box that they put the camera in? They float that down with a filmmaker and follow the actors in their scuba suits? I don't know, but it's just fascinating to try to imagine how this all happened here. It's funny because in the trailer for this movie, it says from Monster on the Ocean Floor, from the beaches to the bottom of the ocean. And they're not lying. There's some footage here from the bottom of the ocean. Now, It's their particular ocean. It's not the Marianas Trench, but it's still pretty interesting to see how they did underwater photography back then. The other thing that I really enjoyed seeing in this movie, and I've read elsewhere that this is one of the reasons this movie was made, was because there's a submarine in the movie. Now, it's not your nuclear submarine. It's not even the Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea submarine. It is a one-man submarine. The passenger climbs into the top. There's pedals, I'm imagining, inside. You'd never really see them, but I don't know how else he would get the propeller to thrust, because there's no motor. He said, in the film itself, he says, no, I am the power. So I imagine he climbs in. There's pedals in front of him. He closes the hatch. But why? He has to wear a full scuba suit, because the first thing that the submarine does is fill up with water. So it's this antique submarine vessel, 70 years old, right? That this guy tools around in and plays a very important part in vanquishing the monster at the end of Monster from the Ocean Floor. So again, let me show you some scenes here. These are the stars of the film. Now, two of these people who are the leads, I believe this was their first film. And you have to remember how acting has changed in 70 years. Yeah, they're a little stiff, they're a little stilted, but they're not bad for that era. So that's nice to see that they were doing that back then. And there was also, here's the submarine I was telling you about. Look at that little thing. Now you can see where the passenger slides in the top there and then paddles around, and his little submarine. It kind of looks like James Bond's car from that one Bond film, The Spy Who Loved Me. I mean, it's a little squatter and what have you, but not quite as elite. But anyway, very cool to see that thing in action. Very cool to see the underwater photography as well. There's some bonus features here. There's a Bob Baker from Monsters to Marionettes. There's a Roger Corman becoming a B movie maker. It's an old interview with Roger Corman, who recently passed away. I think it was just last year, as a matter of fact. Full-length commentary by Tom Weaver with archival contributions by Roger Corman, liner notes, and a full-color booklet by Tom Weaver. Very interesting to read through that. The original theatrical trailer and a recut 2024 trailer using restored footage and a gallery of stills. Monster from the Ocean Floor. If you're a fan of monster movies, especially the old days, like you remember them and those kind of movies, this is a lot of fun to see. Don't feel cheated, because the monster's in it for maybe 60 seconds all told throughout the film. But when you see the monster, trust me, these days you'll just burst out laughing, but it's kind of cool anyway. And it's cool to see how they integrate this giant monster with, the man-sized submarine and what have you. So Monster on the Ocean's Floor, again, Film Masters just does great work. This is really well done, very well restored, and an entertaining movie from beginning to end. So please pick up your physical copy, because you can see this all over the internet right now. When's that? On all the streaming places as well. How long is that going to last? Probably not too long. So, they choose what you watch. Wouldn't you rather choose what you're going to watch? That's my theory on it, at least. The other new release we have is a movie that was near and dear to my heart when it came out in 1986. As many of you know, I'm a huge heavy metal fan. I know I don't look like him now. Me and Chris Holmes from Wasp look about the same. I saw him on a plane recently. We were flying to Hawaii, and Chris Holmes was on the plane with us, which was pretty cool. But, he was a great heavy metal guitarist. I was a great heavy metal fan. It's about as far as I got. And this movie was called Trick or Treat from 1986. It has just been released in a 4K version, and it's the story of a young fan who's a fan of Sammy Kerr. Sammy Kerr is the world's greatest heavy metal star. Well, Sammy dies a rather violent death, and this kid becomes obsessed with him, and pretty soon the spirit of Sammy Kerr is interacting with his spirit and causing him to do some things that at first are just getting back at bullies, but they start to get a little darker and a little worse, and the kid realizes he may have got himself in too deep. This is a great film if you're a fan of heavy metal, especially. Sammy Kerr, who is played by Tony Fields, is kind of an over-the-top heavy metal star, but fun to watch anyway. And it's also features some real heavy metal stars, because as you can see from this photo, there's Sammy Kerr in the middle, and to Sammy's right is Ozzy Osbourne. Look at Ozzy play it all straight and narrow. And then next to him is Gene Simmons playing the typical Gene Simmons badass. So that's those are the big stars that make an appearance, the big heavy metal stars that make an appearance in the heavy metal horror movie Trick or Treat. Here's the cover art for you, so you can take a look at that. So if you're in the store looking for that or looking for it online, you can pick that up there. And that's once again another picture of Sammy Kerr looking demonic. In this picture, they're doing the horns sign, so you know that he is a true heavy metal guy. Sammy looks a lot worse as the film goes along, so continue. So check that out if you're into it. Again, if you're a heavy metal fan, you can't help but love this movie, even though, as I said, it's a little over the top as far as the heavy metal cliches go, but I enjoyed it anyway. It's fun to watch. I think I actually liked it better this time through than I did the last time, and the 4K print is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's brilliant when it needs to be. It's super clear. The blacks are black. It really is a nice 4K restoration. So if you're a fan of this movie, if you're a fan of either Ozzy or Gene Simmons, who, small roles, but they're still in it. And it's an interesting take on heavy metal. It almost reminds me of the days when they had the Satanic Panic, when everybody was afraid that Judas Priest was going to lead their kids to jump over the cliff together and what have you. Those were some crazy times, I will tell you. So that is pretty much all I've got for this week. It's a very short show today. I just wanted to come in because I have missed a couple of weeks and I've missed being here in the studio. And I'm sorry that John couldn't be here today, but he'll be back next week and we will talk some more again. So again, let's go briefly over these one more time. Monsters from the Ocean. Monsters. That's the sequel. No. Monster from the Ocean Floor. Roger Corman picture. So much fun to watch. In this brilliantly restored version from Film Masters, who always just do an outstanding job. And then we also have Trick or Treat out in a 4K restoration. Now, it sounds like I'm doing a show in October because I've got Monster from the Ocean Floor and I've got Trick or Treat, but these are out now. You can pick them up now. Tons of special features, by the way, on Trick or Treat. I'm not going to read through them all, but there's a lot. I mean, this is the list from here to here. So you can see all the special features that are concluded on this 4K version. Plus, again, Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons making appearances, making it feel like a true heavy metal movie. All right, folks. So we got almost 13 minutes in. I appreciate you all listening and watching as always. Please subscribe if you are so inclined. Even if you're not so inclined, just subscribe anyway. It makes us look good. You'll get an email telling us when we're up and you can ignore it if you want to. And otherwise, we'll see you next week. I have not seen, because I was in Hawaii and there was one movie theater there and it only showed movies too late at night. Because in Hawaii, there's, Mai Tais at happy hour. So I have not seen a Working Man yet, the new Jason Statham movie, which destroyed Snow White last weekend at the box office. They were predicting that A Wanted Man would do between $10 and $12 million. It did $15.2 million. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when A Working Man cost only $40 million to make and Snow White cost almost $350 million, that's a big difference. You can see which one of those movies is going to make its money back first. It's getting decent reviews, A Working Man is. Jason Statham fans are thrilled because it delivers exactly what you expect from a Jason Statham movie. I think he's found his niche, and his niche is playing an ordinary guy who's not so ordinary after all, taking on bad guys who think that he's going to be a pushover. And I will keep paying my money out for those Jason Statham movies as long as they make them. This movie reportedly, again, I haven't seen it, isn't quite as good as The Beekeeper, which was so much fun. But I will check it out this week. We'll talk about it next week. And Beekeeper 2, by the way, has already been greenlit and announced and will be out sometime in 2026. So we have lots of great Jason Statham movies to look forward to upcoming. All right, folks, that's it. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Johnny will be back and we'll talk some more about whatever comes up in the following few days. Have a good one. Brought to you by The Grape, Ventura County's premier jazz venue and cocktail lounge, located at 2733 East Main Street in Ventura. For menu and music schedule, visit them online at thegrape.club. This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.